Hey, welcome back to Delectable You Recipes for Life. Today we are doing some holiday baking. That's right, we're gonna make some dark chocolate raspberry oat bars. They're so pretty for the holidays. You can take them anywhere you want during this holiday season. And they just happen to be gluten-free, and they happen to be vegan, and they happen to be delicious. So I'm gonna show you how to dazzle everybody this holiday season. All right, so we've got a few steps that we have to do, no big deal. First step, preheat your oven to 350 Fahrenheit. I've already done that. Second step, grab yourself a pan or a Pyrex dish, whatever you want, that's 8 by 8. If you don't have 8 by 8, don't worry about it. Use 9 by 9, use 7 by 7, whatever you want. It's all good. And then I've already cut a piece of parchment paper that fits into the pan, and I'm just gonna take some of this coconut oil and I'm going to take my brush and brush it along the sides so that the parchment paper sticks to it, but also so that the sides of my bars don't stick to it when it's baking. Okay. And now let's just stick our piece of parchment paper in here. Boop. All right, all ready. Now let's just set this aside. Bye-bye. On to step numero dos. So I've got some frozen raspberries, and I literally just took them out of the freezer, so you do not need to thaw these out beforehand. We're gonna take about a cup of them, and we're gonna put them into a bowl. It's about a cup. If you're a little heavy-handed like I am, don't worry. I think people would actually appreciate that. So set that aside and then grab yourself some arrowroot. It's a starch / flour. If you don't have arrowroot, you can use potato starch. And if you don't care about gluten, you can just use some regular flour or gluten-free flour, whatever you want. So 1 teaspoon arrowroot starch, or whatever you decide. Okay, now just toss this around to get it all mixed up. Come on. Okay, and that's fine. So now we're just gonna let that sit, do its thing over there. And we're gonna prepare our crust. Let's grab yourself a big bowl. First thing we're gonna do is add some gluten-free oats to the bowl. We're gonna add a cup. Boom, there we go. Now let's add some sugar, but we're gonna use organic coconut sugar because that is just better than anything else. If you don't care, you can use regular sugar, but this has a nice nutty taste to it that I love. It's a good thing I have another bag. All right, so there we go. Half a cup of coconut sugar. And if you don't like sweet, then add a little less. It's totally fine, no worries. Okay, next we're gonna add some flaked coconut. About a 1/4 cup of flaked coconut. This is the sweetened kind, but that's just because that's what they had. You don't have to use sweetened, you can use unsweetened. Well, that's a nice generous serving, isn't it? Here we go. All right, because we're on a coconut theme, we're gonna add coconut flour, 3/4 of a cup of coconut flour. Whoa, hey there, coconut flour. Okay, it's coming out in clumps. There we go. Okay, we need a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. Go, and then we're gonna add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt because salt goes everywhere. There we go. Why? Because it brings out the dominant flavor. You already know that. Okay, I think I need a clean spoon for this one. We're gonna add 1/2 cup of coconut oil that is actually at room temperature. You know how normally I always tell you to melt it down before you use it? Well, this is acting like butter today. You know, like when you make a crisp and you put the cold butter with the oats and with the sugar so that you can crumble it on top? That's what we're doing. And if the coconut oil is liquid, then we're not gonna get good results. So we're leaving it at room temperature. If you live in a hot place and your coconut oil is already liquidy, just keep it in the fridge for a little bit to harden it up, okay? That's all you need to do. Okay, that's about good. Let's put this in here. Boom. Okay. So now all we need to do is mix this up. So you can use a fork, you can use your hands, you can do whatever you want, but essentially we just want to mix it all together so that it's nice and incorporated, all right? Okay, now I'm going to get my hands dirty. Oh yeah. So you want the mixture to come together so that it's not crumbly, or it's not too crumbly, that it actually sticks. So if you find that it's not sticking properly, then you can just add a little bit more coconut oil, that's all. This is pretty good. Okay, now that we've played with our food, let's continue playing with our food. So grab your pan, save 1 cup of this mixture, set that aside, put the rest of the mixture in the bottom of the pan and use your hands to pack it down. So we're creating the bottom crust. Now, you don't want to be stingy here, because if you don't make the bottom crust thick enough, then your bars are just going to fall apart. People are going to be like, oh, these are pretty, but they're kind of crumbly and they don't really work very well. They won't say that to you directly, but they'll think it. Okay, so I'm probably like 1/4 to 1/2 inch thick on the bottom. It's more important that you get the bottom right than you get the top right. Okay, now that this is patted down, all we need to do is put this in the oven for 10 minutes because we want to brown it up a little bit. And then we're going to continue with the rest of it. So just put this on here, 350, 10 minutes. All right, it's been 10 minutes and looking at my crust, it looks like it's nice and brown. Oh yeah, it smells so good. Sliding around. Okay, this is very hot, so be careful. Use this. We are going to put our chocolate on top of this now, and then our raspberries, and then more crumble, and then we're going to put it back in the oven. Now I'm using this green and black's dark chocolate. It's 85%. It is vegan. It is so good. So good. Okay, so I've already chopped it all up, and we're just going to sprinkle it kind of like randomly on the top. Now, this isn't going to cover from, you know, every square inch of the top of it, but you want to try to make it as evenly distributed as possible. And if you're extra huge fan of chocolate and you want to add more chocolate, go ahead and add more chocolate. It's your dessert. You can do whatever you want. You don't have to listen to me. Recipes are just guidelines. What makes them come to life is your interpretation of them. But with baking, you just have to make sure you get all the, you know, the liquid to dry properly measured out. This doesn't count. All right. Okay, it's already starting to melt, but don't worry about that because it's going to melt more in the oven. Now we're going to grab our raspberries. We're going to just sprinkle those along the top as well. I was never a fan of raspberries and chocolate together, nor was I ever a fan of dark chocolate for that matter. But I have become an entirely new person in the last few years, apparently, because I think this is delicious. And look how pretty it is for the holidays. I mean, you're going to show up at your friend's house with this dish, and they're going to be like, oh my God, you slaved all day. And you're going to be like, I know, rub my feet, and they will. Okay. Okay. Don't want to waste a single raspberry. Okay. Now we've got our crumble left, so just randomly distribute that on top. It's gonna get nice and crunchy and wonderful. Okay. Now, back in the oven for 25 to 30 minutes or until it's nice and brown, okay? Bye-bye, bake beautifully. Okay. Alrighty. It has been about 23 minutes. Oh yeah. And we've got some nice browning going on. And look how pretty that looks. Oh my word. That looks pretty. That also smells delicious. So it's like an everybody wins kind of recipe. So this is a healthier dessert that you can have at any holiday table and of course anytime throughout the year, but because of the red, it's just so beautiful for the holidays. So all you need to do now is let it cool down, and then you're actually going to store this in the fridge, or you can make it ahead, put it in the freezer and pull it into the fridge when you'd like to use it. No worries. But don't leave this one at room temperature because the chocolate and the raspberries get a little funky. So cool it down, put it in the fridge, cut it into squares, and then serve it to your friends and they will love you forever. They already do, but they're gonna love you even more forever. So that's kind of awesome. Enjoy your raspberry oat dark chocolate bars. Enjoy your holidays. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been Lauren with Delectable You, and I will see you again soon.